Now winter cycling to keep my fitness up, so I think it's a good moment to reflect and tell you about some experience. The goal was to ride from my house to my hometown in Italy and come back. Of course, this was a challenging trip. It took me about a month and covered about 3,000 kilometers and about 30,000 of total elevation gain. Let's start with the route.
I have crossed Europe for 25 days, from the Netherlands to Italy and back. I found my own route via commute and a little bit of improvisation. I went to Germany via the south of the Netherlands. My intention was to cross the Black Forest and visit the source of the Danube River. This was not possible due to the road being closed, but the forest was amazing. After that, I cycled towards Switzerland, with the intention of not stopping for long as it was a very touristic area. I could live with a few kilometers away from the Austrian border, and so I crossed the Alps for the first time via Austria. It was a fantastic experience to cross 2 mountain passes in one day. After 10 days of riding, I was finally in Italy. This was by far the most dangerous section of my trip. It was however easy to overcome the stress of being so vulnerable on the road because I was finally about to see my family. I took a day of rest and avoided cycling in my region again by getting a lift by car. It was time to approach the Alps again. I proceeded towards the French border on the west of the country, and in a brutal day of climbing I reached France. There I thought I was done with the climbing, but I could not have been more wrong. Cycling north through France made me pass countless hills and amazing solitary sceneries. At that point, I really wanted to get home since my body was suffering a bit, and thus I crossed Luxembourg and Belgium quickly to be back home in the Netherlands. Most of my trip was on paved road, but I also enjoyed my time off-road.
Sometimes pushing the bike because it's not suited for this terrain and it's too heavy to go uphill. Of course, an important part of such trips is the accommodation. So let's talk about the accommodation too.
I slept in my tent most of the time and used warm shower to find hosts. I really liked this way of traveling, as it allowed me to meet new people and make new experiences. Like sleeping in an amazing cabin that my host built, or eating full savage from dumpsters, or being hosted by a couple that traveled the world on a tandem since the 80s, or from a group of young folks that moved from the big city to the smallest town in France to start a new community. All these experiences were unique and invaluable and made the trip even more interesting and exciting.
It's very cold outside, I don't want to leave the tent.
To plan it, I was just estimating roughly where I would have been in 2-3 days' time and contacted every host in the area. If it was not working, I was just using normal camping spots, which are still very cheap outside of the Netherlands and Italy. If also that was not an option, I've just camped where I could, either while camping or asking to the locals. Most of the times I could sleep in a proper accommodation, and that made the trip very comfortable. It also helped to keep the cost low. My trip cost less than 700 euros, which with only 4 euros a day spent on accommodation and the rest on food. Being on vacation, I decided to treat myself a bit and didn't really save any money on food. A realistic estimate for someone who won't go to a restaurant every time they can would be a total cost of 500 euros for 25 days of trip.
Not an easy trip to plan, but I planned it for a long time, and you can find here the moment that I planned it while riding my bike. So stay tuned for part 2, where I will talk about gear, I will talk about what I did well with it, what I didn't. Then later we're going to talk about what was easy about it, what was difficult about it, what kind of challenges I had to face. But if you want to see any of those videos, you can click here somewhere, and you can see the 9 videos that capture my full experience. So see you next week. Cheers!